everybody for joining today. We're just waiting for everyone to get online. We have super great folks to talk to today and share some great education with you. Thanks for joining us today. And for those of you watching after on YouTube and all of those different places that we post, thank you so much for joining us for our education series. We have Dolores and Jen with us today. Jen's already here because, you know, she's on time and a keener. I can already tell. There's a physical therapist for you guys. On time. We have 15 minutes for the appointment. I'm going to be there.
That's because Jen's not good with technology. So she wanted to make sure she's ready to go.
Well, she's done awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much for being here. So we're just waiting for Dolores to join us. She'll be here shortly. Welcome to our Prairie Circle chat. We're here to just share our education with our amazing professionals that we work with every day that we're so thankful for, and to share that knowledge. So we'll give Dolores another moment. I saw her trying to join on a different device, so she should be here shortly. There she is. Hi, Dolores.
Hi.
Yay. Cool. All right, guys. Well, everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for our Prairie Circle chat today. We are speaking with Jen, our cancer rehab physiotherapist, and Dolores, and she is the president of the Lymphedema Association of Ontario. So thank you both for being here with us today. And if you wanted to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about you and why you do what you do.
Oh, sure.
I forgot to introduce myself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. You know what? It's been a month since we did our last chat, and I've already forgotten the order. So, sorry. I am Holli Markwald. I'm the CEO here at Prairie. We make versatile, sustainable compression bras for medical, everyday, and active wear. And with that, now, Jen, I would love to hear you introduce yourself and Dolores.
Sure. My name's Jen Beck. I'm a physiotherapist in Ontario, in Southern Ontario. I live in Dundas, Ontario, not far from McMaster University, which is where I went to school for kinesiology and physio, and kind of just stayed in this neck of the woods. And I've called it home since then. And I graduated in '98, so going back a good haul ago. In 2008, I started to work with a friend of mine who had developed the exercise program for Wellspring. And Wellspring is a non-profit organization of cancer support centers across our country. And I work in person and online for the one primarily out of Oakville. And in addition to that, so that just kind of, when I started learning about oncology rehab, which was a very new field of care and probably, dare I say, still is to some degree, but we're getting there. With that, once I started learning about oncology rehab and working with people who had had a cancer diagnosis, I just fell in love with that area of care. I dabbled in other areas of physio, but knew I had found my home and started taking more and more courses through the States and Canada on breast cancer care and training in lymphedema care. And that's kind of, I always joke, that's kind of my little window. I've gone down a deep rabbit hole. So I always joke with some of my clients, don't bring me your big toe, because I'm probably not your person for dealing with some of the other things and aches and pains you might have going on. So oncology's kind of become my passion and focus of care.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dolores.
I also work at a private clinic and do it as well. Sorry, not just at Wellspring.
Awesome.
Thank you, Holli. I think you were calling out to me. So thank you. So my name is Dolores Steinwall, and my story is a little bit different. I am a patient with lymphedema. I went through breast cancer, chemo, radiation, and I'm pleased to say that I am, in August 14th, going to be 9 years out from my diagnosis. Yeah, I can't even ever believe that. And I must say, give a shout out to Wellspring, because I did spend time there and took all their programs. And I did actually try to convince them to provide some treatment or training for lymphedema to help the patients, because once I discovered that I had lymphedema on my right side, I was shocked that the government doesn't pay for treatment. And that's sort of the number one thing, because, you know, you can wear a garment, yes, and, you know, ADP pays for that, 75% of that, but you need some treatment first before you put your garment on. So to me, it was backwards. Mm-hmm. And so I decided the only way I could try to help is maybe try to do some fundraising. And that's how I ended up finding the LAO, because I wanted to launch a compassion fund and to help patients pay for treatment. So I had previously done a couple of walks for, you know, the cancer care, walk for CIBC, walk for the cure, whatever. I wasn't very happy how all the money was sent to cancer, but not anything at all for the after effects of cancer. So it's how I ended up here. I joined the LAO to start a compassion fund. I had a little bit of money that I had done my own walk. I brought that with me. And, you know, now 4 years later, I never anticipated being the president and, you know, being able to somehow launch the program. But the program has been 4 years now. We've done it, basically. And we've helped about 52 patients. So that's to talk about the treatment side and what we do at the LAO. There's a lot of other things we do there as well, but this is sort of my number one pet project. And since I'm talking about, I thought I should share that.
Yeah.
So, the other issue that I faced was I hated my bras, my compression bras, which is what today. Much like the sleeves that I originally could only order, beige and black, I was never really happy with them. They were functional. I personally hate beige because it's so, I don't know, I like to be colorful, as you can see from my dress and everything else I have. So when I discovered recently, probably I'm going to say 3 years ago, the Prairie wear bras, originally they were the sort of larger ones, the longer ones, which I wore. They're the ones I tried first, mm-hmm. and they certainly give a lot of coverage, because one of my problems is right under here, and I need it to be high, yeah. And that really helps, because it's not just my arm, it's all the way down here, right. And sometimes it goes into my back as well. Mm-hmm. So, and then I was absolutely delighted when you brought in the new bras. You know, they're much more versatile. I can wear them with, mm-hmm. you know, dress up clothes, if you will. I could probably wear them with my yoga pants, as some people do. But it makes me feel more feminine. Mm-hmm. I love the colors, you know, even have beige in them. So beige, like navy blue, and fuchsia, every color that you have. Yeah. So that's basically my story. Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to share that I not only wear the other bras, I pretty much wear them every day. I wear them for yoga. I wear them for golf. I wear them pretty much for any activity I do. And I also wear them when I get dressed up. Oh. So they're awesome. They're one of the best things I've found.
Thank you so much, Dolores. And I wanted to share this story of Dolores. It's one of my favorite moments that I've had on camera, because I was just really delighted. The first time I ever met Dolores, it was on camera. And she had a group of all kinds of members and medical professionals in a meeting for Lymphedema Association of Ontario, and she had on this cute jogger suit, and she unzipped her top jogger suit, and she had on a pink Vita, and she was, you know, this is what you need to wear. It was the cutest thing. And really that prompted the conversation of how compression can make things easier for people, whether that's a Prairie wear product, you know, if that's one of our huggers, awesome, if we're a great fit for you. But there's lots of other options too. And what we're here to say is there are a lot of options for people, and we want to educate folks to check those out. And Jen, you probably have patients that have a certain thing that they love to wear. It's what works for them. It may or may not be a hugger, and that's what we're all about, is finding what works for your body, working with your physical therapist, your medical professionals to find what works for you and can give you support for every day. And yeah, and what's interesting is we have these kind of loose topics for our discussion, and you guys covered so many, which is, hey, why do you do what you do? And so I think that's really cool. And the next piece that I'd really love to hear from you guys is what do you do to empower and build confidence in people that have been diagnosed with lymphedema? Because you both do that so well. And I think there's those certain things that you probably hear repetitively. What's a few things that you would share with someone who's been diagnosed with lymphedema?
Okay, I can speak to that to start. I think that for sure, still in our country and around where I live, there's still very big gaps. Dolores kind of spoke to that in terms of post-oncology care, I would say. Shortcomings in terms of continuity of care. We're doing a fabulous job, I would say, at treatment of cancer, but maybe not at treating the side effects and the after effects of going through cancer care. Or often for me, it's working with a lot of ladies like Dolores was with breast cancer care. So we have a lot of gaps there. So for me, I see a lot of ladies and men after other types of cancer as well too, but they're just kind of lost after they've gone through that contact with their cancer centers. And they're not sure where to go with it from that. Who do you ask? They've had a lot of doctors along the way. They've been in contact with a lot of people. And then for some people, it's just kind of done, that, you know, phase, and you're left kind of wandering out, trying to figure things out. There's a lot of information these days online, knowing what's reliable, what isn't. So I think in terms of providing confidence, for me, it's trying to be that touch point for people for continuity of care afterwards. And I see myself often as a connector of, it's, you know, a lady might come and see me and I might be able to, you know, help her with one area of care, but there's so many other things that I try to guide her to that I've been exposed to and know resources to. So kind of that pathway to resources after care, I think, can provide people with the confidence to know that they've got some direction.
Mm-hmm. And here in Canada, there are like the Wellspring website, which maybe we can throw that in chat, Lauren, or we can put it on in our notes when we post. But Wellspring is a great resource. Obviously, the lymphedema associations across provinces. I'm familiar with the Lymphedema Association of Ontario and their connections with resources because of you, Dolores. Even though I live in British Columbia, our company is out of Alberta, but we still, with your wide reach, Dolores, we often resource your website and information for people because it also ties into the other locations that they can reach out to. So I love that in terms of being a connector and that education piece, it makes sense why you found us here. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Well, I mean, I am not a medical professional. You know, as I said earlier, I'm a patient, and I've had to learn the hard way how to control my lymphedema, how to deal with it, how to manage it. And it's not exactly easy. And I'm lucky that my insurance covers my treatment with the physiotherapist, whereas most people don't. And that's sort of why I came up with the Compassion Fund. We also, I mean, we post all the resources that we have access to on our website. You know, we have a directory. I got to put a plug in for this. This is my annual directory that I launched. This is the third version. We do this every year, and all of the therapists that are trained in lymphedema are listed here. They take out a membership with us, and they're listed here. Plus, also all the other companies that support us and sell lymphedema products are listed in here. And we have other information here as well. We do this once a year. It's a big job. It's not easy, but we send this out to everyone, basically. All our membership, hospitals, breast cancer support groups, anywhere that, you know, people have contacted us. And I know dealing with lymphedema patients, because that is one of the biggest problems. Doctors, nurses, hospitals don't even recognize lymphedema as much as we'd like to, because there's over 400,000 people in Ontario, over 1 million across Canada. And that number is probably 4 years old, since like some research project was done before, you know, and that probably was done in 2016. But those are the only numbers we have, because no one's really keeping track of it. So, you know, to get back to like having the proper garments as well, those are like two really important things: treatment and proper garments. Those are the main things that you can do. But there's also the other side, which Wellspring deals with. It's you know, where you can take courses for free, basically, through Wellspring, and you can do them online as well, for your mental health, right?
Yeah.
Because my lymphedema is actually not really bad, considering, you know, because you can get it, you can be born with it, or you can get it from any kind of surgery or accident or whatever. And as Jen spoke, you know, there's prostrate after so many different kinds of surgeries that you can get it, but it's not well known or recognized or addressed.
And I think one of the things that you mentioned as you were speaking about your journey is how quickly you began your self-education and also treatment of lymphedema. And Jen, would you agree in terms of, you know, finding your activity level and really treatment management with lymphedema, that sooner is better or best?
Definitely. Knowing the signs and symptoms, you know, prevention, intervening early should you have symptoms of lymphedema. And, you know, when we're speaking to Prairie Wear too, it's not usually on the education radar. You know, we're under the radar for sure on just lymphedema education in general, but then we're not talking about lymphedema of the breast after lumpectomy and radiation treatment. That's really low under the radar. We're, you know, you're going into your doctor, you're showing them your arm, you're showing them your hand, but we're not talking about how you can have it up in the axilla, on the torso as much, through the sternal area. So that is definitely even lower down in terms of the identification and education on it. So I do, when I do presentations, which is here and there, not regularly by any means, that's what I always like to make sure women are understanding too, because I'd be like, oh, I didn't know that's what was going on here, right?
Yes.
Like, I didn't know I could have it there. I was just told to watch for it in my arm.
Yes. We hear that a lot. We are not medical professionals here at Prairie Wear, Dolores. We're in your boat, but we have access and experience with speaking with so many medical professionals and also patients, right? Ask us questions, and we hopefully always connect them back to their physio or give them resources like the LAO or Wellspring if we have them available in their area. And that is something that we hear a lot. I just didn't know. I didn't know what to look for. And so one of the things that we've seen also as a change is the introduction of a navigator, often a nurse navigator or a patient coordinator, that is now that connector between not just cancer care, but post-surgical or post-treatment care. And that's been really integral in creating a better environment for education, not just for lymphedema, but sometimes other things that you need to be aware of. Is that, or do you guys feel that as well in your area, that that's sort of starting to change, that connectivity?
Well, I'm out in the community, so there is a lack of connection, I would say, with the cancer centers to some degree. And COVID certainly emphasized, or made that worse, right? That lack of connection, conferences, education ways, that way where you might connect with other healthcare professionals who are more in the centers.
Yeah.
So I do think that, there are some cancer centers which maybe have a bit more connection to that education component and then the follow-up care. But with some of the centers that I receive clients from, we just don't get to talk to the doctors. We don't get to talk to the oncologists. We don't get to talk to the radiation specialists and things. So we're kind of relying a lot on what we hear from our patients.
Okay.
I think my hope is that will improve over time, but we still got a little ways to go, I would say.
Yeah.
Long way to go.
Yeah.
That's the sad part. Only some hospitals even have like a lymphedema clinic or a few people trained that will talk to you about it and have a presentation. So in that respect, I was lucky. I was at Sunnybrook, so they did have actually a lymphedema clinic, and they have 3 people there right now, but they're sort of part-time and they see patients. And so I have a relationship with them so that we can help them help the patients, so like there cordial relationship with a hospital, a nurse navigator, even a family health team. We will do whatever we can to try to identify those patients and help them.
Are there any suggestions that you might have, Jen, for someone who is living with lymphedema and wants to learn more or wants to take steps to more confident, feeling physically more confident? Are there some suggestions you might be able to share with us?
So in terms of resources that I share, is that what you maybe are thinking?
Resources, or even just anecdotal suggestion of something where people could start?
Well, if you can find, in not every community, we know there are lots of communities who don't have a lymphedema therapist or someone who specializes in this care. But the world has opened up a lot. COVID did provide us with that we can, access things virtually now, things that we couldn't do. So I will always, I always try to empower my clients. That's what I feel my biggest job is to empower, educate, and help them create a toolbox for their own personal care, because maybe you can't get to your therapist. Maybe your therapist is booked up. You're not going to get in for 2 weeks, right? So if you had a flare up or something's bothering you, what can you do today? I'm an impatient person. If that's me, Dolores, if I was in your shoes, I want it something I can do right now, right? Experience that, but I have with other conditions, I want something today. So if you want something today, that's where I think I will give out resources that are available for education online. There's great YouTube videos. Wellspring has great videos on education on lymphedema, on nutrition and lymphedema that is available to people. Ann Domena's book. Ann Domena is a therapist out at Markham Lymphedema Clinic, and Jean Lamantia's book as well is a great resource that I will give to people for managing self-care. That for my clients, I will encourage them, if they're have a significant amount of lymphedema, to have a sleeve, but maybe you also need to know how to wrap. You need to know how to bandage. You need a wrap as well for the days when things do go up in volume a little bit more, so you can bring them down. We talk about using pool therapy, exercise. And one of my rules of thumb, if I can say that, for exercise, which I think is very, very important, the lymphatics do not move without movement. We don't got the heart, moving things through the vessels the way we do with our blood. So the only way we can do that is with movement. So we do need to move. There's a lot of myths that still exist in terms of what you can't do. I always say, look at women who dragon boat race after breast cancer care. Like, it's wild. Dragon boat racing is hard work.
Yes.
Right? It is extremely hard, and it's been shown to help with lymphedema care and to not cause lymphedema. So I say to women, look at what those ladies are doing in those races and that training, and they're having success with it. So with that, I always say though, start a little lighter than you think you can, right? Lymphedema can come on if things are flared, if there's an inflammatory process. So if I were to go out and try to Dragon Boat race right now tonight, and I haven't done it in, well, 25 years at least, then I'm going to be so sore. My muscles are going to be screaming. They're going to be inflamed. They are going to have some type of an inflammatory process. And that's what can, increase lymphedema for people, or set it off in some cases. So do a little less than you think you can do. For 2 days, is my body happy? My body's happy. Okay, I know that was a good level for me. Then I slowly increase it. So
Great.
that's what I tell people to do for exercise. It's not about what you can crank out the day you're doing it. We can all grind it. We can push ourselves, but it's what happens the next 2 days that we need to monitor and then go, okay, was that a good thing for me? Yep. Okay, I can try a little longer. Or I can do a little bit more weights, or whatever it might be, that it's gradual. And I think that's a very big key thing.
Awesome. And Dolores,
Sorry, on a tangent.
no, I think that's really pertinent and insightful information. And I think it also mirrors what you're saying about your experience, Dolores, of consistency. So to me, exercise is about consistency. It's not about that, push it until the end on one day, but you do your increments of exercise every single day and keep your body healthy. And I feel like that lymphedema journey that you've taken, Dolores, is consistent, and it's everyday awareness and effort.
Well, I mean, I must tell you that I do fall down quite often. And then I have to be kind to myself and make sure that I get up, even if it's get up and go again, even if it takes a week,
Yeah.
But I've found that there's the ups and downs. Winter is like my worst time for falling down, not watching what I eat. COVID was bad, very bad. But, you just have to get up and go again. For me, I was golfing prior to my cancer diagnosis, and then I couldn't do it for a while. Had to take some time off to make sure, because I'm right-handed, that I could actually get out there and do it. So it took me a while, and but I'm good. I'm okay. I can do it well, because there's not only the thing, there's also the using your arm and to swing. I had to be kind to myself and buy one of those electric carts, because I couldn't push or drag the manual carts. It was just too heavy, and it was too much on my arms. So I've done that. I don't like to make those, what can I say, like, be kind to myself, but I don't ride a cart. I mean, I hope I can continue that, because I find the walking is an exercise, and I'm totally exhausted when I'm done. And then I was in Florida this winter and discovered the aquafit classes, because they ran the classes, and it's very expensive in the US, in Florida, to get physiotherapy. And they charge upwards of like $200 US. And my plan, I think, refused to pay for it, even though I'm supposed to be fully covered. So I started taking these classes 5 days a week, like in the morning. And they just played like, not a video even, just music with instructions. And I did it. And honestly, my arm was fine.
Yeah.
Just because I moved my arms so much, and you jump up and down, I found it a lot easier to exercise in the water than if I was in. But my arms stayed fine. Like I couldn't believe it this time, because I did it like regularly for the 3 months I was there. I skipped Saturday, Sunday, but for the most part, Monday to Friday, it was really good. Now, the weather has been crappy here. I haven't found a place that I can go and take it there. Like go to
called aqua lymphatic therapy. It's a real thing too, Dolores. You might have I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's really beneficial. I always tell a lot of people if they can get in the pool and get exercising,
Yes.
great for lymphedema.
Yes, but so many classes anywhere that you can take.
Well,
You
have
know,
to throw in the chat that information, Lauren, or we can put it on the post for everybody, because that is something we're hearing a lot about too in terms of activity. And we actually got a very sweet email, someone who had, in terms of reconstruction and breast forms, because it's a partial form, wasn't staying in her swimsuit. So she just wears her Prima underneath her suit and can do her aquatics, but also some laps. And I thought that was a really ingenious way to keep exercising. However you get there,
Yeah.
however you find your movement, whatever makes you most comfortable, do that, you know, in terms of your garments or your activity, and work with your team, your MedPro team, and these resources that are out there. There's a lot out there. And if you need help finding it, you have these two great folks. There's lots of other people, and just put it out there. You can also contact us. We do our Prairie Circle chats often. We do have a summer series coming up, and I'm realizing that we're up with our half hour already, you guys. It goes so fast, doesn't it?
Can I just add one thing that I
Yeah.
want to out to Prairie Wear for? I don't bring many garments into the clinic that I work at. I refer people out to places, but I did bring in Prairie Wear. And I just wanted to say one reason why I particularly love them. You know, Dolores talked about them coming up high and all those great reasons, but they also work for a lot of my ladies. Whether you have bilateral mastectomy, they work for those women. If you've had breast conserving surgery and are even large breasted, they work for that group. If you have one breast and flat on the other side, it works for that lady too. So that's why it's been my go-to, is for that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's part of our versatility for sure. We want to fit as many bodies as absolutely possible where they're at the time. And also, I don't know if you know this, we don't talk about it a lot, but we are sustainable. So OCOTEC Standard 100 certified, which means safe for the skin. So super important after you've gone through treatments and surgeries and all the sensitivities, but also with lymphedema, we don't want to add anything to that element except for goodness next to the skin. So that's something that we really do believe in and what we work hard at. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no, they're great.
Holly, I have one question for you. So did you say to wear your bra in the water?
Yeah. So you can wear it in the pool, but there is chlorine. So what we have found, and it's not made for that, it is a high performance yarn, not a yarn made for swimming. But if you rinse it out very well, we have seen that it lasts significantly longer than, you know, maybe a regular garment. But it is going to show some wear and tear with chlorine. But we definitely have quite a few people wearing them in the pool.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Because that was a question that had been on my mind.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask, invite everyone. If you want to know what we do at the LAO, please just look us up. You know, we're happy to help anyone and everyone.
Amazing. Great. Thank you, Dolores. Thank you, Jen, so much, you guys. Thank you for joining our chat today. We have our next chat is July 13th, and we're launching for the first time ever a chat series over the summer. So you might see one or both of these lovely ladies again, because we're going to have lots of chats. And if you have some suggestions, what you want us to talk about, please send them in. We're here to educate and really support our communities, and appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.